Okay, so with no further ado, I'm going to work my way through some of the list of things that I'm aware of. Um, Maria, I think you're in this chat. I don't know if you already shared the Trello that you put together with people. Happy for you to do so. I know that people have already seen the screenshot, so there's no surprises. But otherwise, I can just work through it. People who are here because you participated in the airdrop, I know that you have been waiting for too long for an update on that. Are on the official channels. Please be careful. There are always people out there who will drain your wallet if they get a chance to, and I really don't want that happening to any of our community. So the claims will open tomorrow. The first distribution will happen on the 20th of September, 1 week later, and the final distribution will happen on the 20th of October. We will review at that point if there's any major issues, but that's the intention, is to distribute everything by the 20th of October. Any specific questions on that, you can raise a hand, come up on stage, make a comment.
So I'm gonna share the link. Hi everyone, this is Maria. I'm gonna share the link to the topics in the chat. Do you want it to be here or on Telegram? Whatever place you prefer.
Let's do it here because these are the people that are here to talk to us about it, and we can always do an update in Telegram afterwards.
Sure, perfect.
So that was kind of item number one on my agenda. I don't know if anybody is here just because they wanted to know that. If you are, I hope you stick around anyway, but if you don't want to, I fully understand. The next thing that was on my agenda, because it's been hot in the chat this morning, is the APR calculations. I went through those with the team this morning, and we believe that those are absolutely correct, that the average rewards for this period is indeed just above 51%. The reason your rewards may be lower than that are because it is only based on unlocked tokens. So for anybody that participated in the pre-sale and still has locked tokens in your node, they don't accrue reward. It is only the unlocked tokens that accrue rewards. Similarly, if your node is out of commission or you have any performance issues, that will affect your reward, so they can go down on that basis. And I just want to say that any and all of our reward calculations do go through third-party validation, and we should have that in the next couple of days for this period as well. Manually, and it should happen ideally on chain. That is something that I am not by no means trying to dispute. There is a roadmap that we are working together on. I am getting up to speed on it. Peter will be better placed to talk to elements of that. I'm in the process of figuring out what is currently on there, what value it adds, and kind of getting up to speed with Matthias and all the other members of the team. I will share more with you when I can on when some of those bigger items will happen.
We don't have an exact date right now, so I'm not going to give any concrete promises, but we are working actively on it. So it is definitely not only on the roadmap, but it's also being worked actively on. So hopefully next reward cycle will actually be much more automated, but let's revisit that when I have better data.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Peter. We will, yeah, I guess the only thing to say is that we're aware that it's not where we would like it to be, and we will be sharing more about the roadmap with you when we can. The same goes for a number of the points, the improvement points, Pitbull, that you and the node operators were kind enough to go through with Bruce and myself on Tuesday. And I will actually have specific updates for you next Tuesday. And I will come back to you and tell you what is being worked on now, when we expect to have that ready, and also what's up next and what's in the backlog. Yeah, I don't know if that answers all of the questions. I am banning the word soon, so I will try to be specific with you, and you can hold us accountable to those. if we do fall into bad habits, I can count on you guys to call us out. There are some other things that I'm aware of that did come through onto the Monday board. One of them was that question about adoption and whether anything was happening in the ecosystem. There is stuff happening, thankfully. The wallet has launched. There is still some integrations, particularly with the browser, that are being worked on, but it is launched. So we do now have our mobile wallet. More excitingly, we are trying to build out that DeFi ecosystem within Partisia. ZK Cross will be live. By start of November, we expect them to be fully live, with a soft launch earlier, perhaps, maybe some early access activities, a bug bounty program that we expect to launch in October. More on that to come when I can give you something more concrete. And then we also are at different stages with a lending protocol we're pretty close to, and a liquid staking protocol we're at an earlier stage with. The goal is to have a fully fleshed out DeFi ecosystem to help us grow our TVL. We are also looking at how we take our token to EVM ecosystems so that we can kind of bring our token to go play on other DeFi products and improve access into our world. That is something that we will be able to update on again as part of that big roadmap conversation. And then, of course, there's real world assets, which is, I think, an extremely exciting space for Partisia, because I think there's a very strong and very clear use case. And we are in the process of working with in fact, Bruce, maybe you can, you're not up on stage. If you want to come up on stage, you can give an update on the NFT grants. There you are. Do you want to give an update in Varmeta? We can't hear you, Bruce. Okay. I will give you a bad update then. So they are working on sealed bid auctions, which is a really good use case for us. And there are going to be more in that space. I will provide updates over the next few weeks. The next big thorny issue that I'm aware of is the CoinMarketCap circulating supply number, and the CoinGecko process that will precede that being verified. I know that there is frustration, and honestly, not wrongly. It is normally very straightforward. In some ways, we are not straightforward, so we are harder to pull data from. And the decision that the community voted on to pause token unlocks and pause vesting adds a degree of complexity that we just need to explain. But in reality, that's also not a good enough explanation for why it's taken us so long. I don't think that it's helpful to kind of poke holes at the past. We are very focused as a team on what we need to deliver over the next, weeks, months, before we get to years. There is a big roadmap, and we are very focused on executing against it. And I think kind of spending too much time looking backwards kind of distracts from that to a degree. But I do think that, some of the things that are in place now are just making sure that everybody has crystal clear accountability, ownership, so that things like this do not take longer than they should. And I do, on behalf of Partisia, I'm sorry it's taken us so long. We are actively in conversations with CoinGecko at the moment. We are preparing a new submission to them to fill some of the gaps in the information that they had. We will keep providing updates to you as we have them. The second that submission ticks the box, you will see a post on Twitter, because we will have to post from our official account, and then you will know. We will also tell you in Telegram, and you can also ask us. But that is where that process is at. There was another question that I saw about Ivan Damgard. and whether we can get him more involved in our comms. He is still incredibly involved. He has weekly meetings, and he is an incredible source of knowledge and insight for the project. He's also amazing in terms of explaining these concepts. He is wonderful to participate, somebody to participate in, the pinnacle of thought leadership conversations that we're accessing and we're participating in. I will not bring him onto Twitter, and I will probably not bring him into Discord. Those aren't places that he is going to be his best and bring his best. I will try to give you more visibility of where he is adding tremendous value, because he is an incredible piece of the project story. I think certainly when I talk to devs about the project, it's his profile really that makes their eyes light up more than anything. Now, I'm looking at the topics and wondering what I'm missing. So I mentioned Zico Cross. So some of the questions that are in the questions column that Maria put together are not things that I can discuss or would be willing to discuss, because it would pose a risk to our project, and I'm not going to do that. So you'll have to bear with me if I appear to be oblique in certain ways. What I can tell you is about our plan for the project and what we have coming over the next 6 months. Before I get into that, though, I promised you open questions, and that's what we're here for. So before I start talking about the future, do you want to raise your hands?
I think the way we're going to do it is, since not all users are being able to wave their hand or request to speak, they can either drop a comment here in the chat or on Telegram, and Brian is going to give them spotlight on the stage. So I think that's an option. But for that, people will actually need to type in their question, or to type in that they want to participate. For example, Maddie is on the main chat. Okay. Kelsey also wants to ask something.
So for future ones of these, can we just remove the barriers and just enable everybody to speak?
That will be ideal.
Let's do that. Sorry, guys.
All right, there you go. You're on stage.
Kelsey.
Yes, hello, Ed. First of all, welcome to the team, and thanks for setting everything up. So I wanted to be brief. So basically, the main question, I guess, that the community and that I have is regarding a bit the strategy and the long-term vision that you have. As we know, Partisia has a lot of use cases. Going from DPIN, RWA, and privacy. So far, since the beginning, mainly was focused on privacy. So my question would be, how do you see it that privacy is, I would say, the right use case to focus on, or are you also thinking in order to extend and improve the range to also focus on other use cases like DPIN? And in what way do you think Partisia can still enter and make a break into this kind of use cases?
That's a great question, Kelsey. Thank you for sharing. I will try to answer it as best I can. Please bear with me because it is week 2. When I joined Partisia, I think what excited me the most was this, deep conviction that our future is digital. It will transact in blockchains. It will be navigated by AI agents that we will not come close to understanding. It will be powered by a world of quantum computers. And in that world, I think we're going to need a little privacy. I think that privacy needs to be is needed in Deepin. I actually came from a Deepin protocol. I've been in Deepin for a while, pun intended. I think that that concept of regulatory friendly privacy, the concept of the ability to have transparency where it should be and privacy where it should be, that applies across a variety of use cases, and for me answers a challenge or an opportunity that I see for Web3 adoption. I think Partisia is very well placed to be part of this growing adoption of Web3 technology, because we answer that kind of unanswered question of how do you deal with consumer data in a way that is GDPR compliant. How do you kind of enable people to kind of transact on data that shouldn't be public? How do you keep some of those computations private, that data protected, while enabling better use cases, better products, better applications to be built? And I think that solving that is something we are uniquely placed to do. And that was really my belief as I came in. I take your point. I think that actually because we also have we're very fast. So, we have speed of light finalization. We are very fast. We are also building something really interesting on that interoperability side of things. And there are ways that you can use us, that don't necessarily lean as heavily on that core proposition. And I tend to think we should just keep our knife edge really sharp and stay really, really sharp in what we communicate out. But you're right, potentially there are other things that fall within it that are not, that might not seem like flagships under the main banner, if you know what I mean.
Yes, Ed. Thanks for the clarification. And in this case, I also had another question that also the community raised a couple of times. As you mentioned, I totally agree. The best would be to be laser focused on one narrative and go deep into it. Regarding Partisia, the biggest advantage I would say in the privacy is the team, the history, the person behind, Professor Damgaard. So my question would be, how do you see it in the term of marketing? As so far we haven't really used much of his expertise, I would say, in the cryptography. Do you think, or how do you see it in order to bring more noise, I would say, to Partisia, to use more the strength of the team and his history in the cryptography and privacy in order to push and bring Partisia in the spotlight? So far, as you mentioned, Partisia has a lot of potential, but at the end of the day, marketing and noise needs to be made. So what do you see in terms of marketing improvement in order to get the word out that Partisia is the solution for privacy and cryptography?
Yeah, 100%. We're in an attention economy. So Oscar Wilde's quote that the only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about has never been truer. Projects die if they don't get their time in the spotlight. I think that it kind of comes back for me that it all starts with actually sharpening our clarity of our narrative and our messaging, and making sure that what we go out with is the strongest version that we can go out with, that it is really clear, that it is really consistent, and that it's compelling to the audience we need to reach. So that has been kind of, that for me is where it starts. And then underneath that, you've got what we used to call reasons to believe. So you have the big statement of we can do this for this space. And that kind of ties back to what I was talking about previously, so I won't go over it again. And then the reasons to believe that we can do this. One of the big ones is the caliber of the team. With the caliber of Ivan Damgaard, but also the broader development team that Peter's been leading in Partisia. We have more PhDs than you can shake a stick at. We could open our own university at this point, I reckon. We have incredibly smart people, and what they've built as a non-techie, so with limited knowledge, but what they've built seems to be amazing. Like, we seem to be solving one of the genuinely hard problems, and that for me is super exciting. And the more we can reinforce that and communicate that and demonstrate it, with tangible proofs, that then fills that kind of credibility markers and reasons to believe. And then I think we need to cut through the noise. So I think we need to be willing, we need to be, how do I say this? We need to be different. We need to be differentiated. We need to take that unique identity and carry it through. We need to be willing to be a little disruptive, to be a little provocative. We need to be more visible. We need to be more visible in a number of ways. We can do that partly through brand and narrative. We can also do it by the company we keep. We can increase our partnerships. If we're talking about visibility within Web3, we can increase our partnerships in that space and be seen together, and be seen to do things together and further our relationships. We also have partnerships we're looking to form with big brands in the Web2 space. And I know that there's been conversation about those in the past, and maybe announcements that came out a bit earlier than they should have done, because these things are never done until they're done. But I, for one, am confident that something is going to get done in the next 6 months, next 6 to 12 months, maybe, if I want to hedge my bets. Those are huge credibility markers that really talk to the tech that has been built. So I think it starts with being really clear about what you stand for and sharpening that to a point where you can cut through to the mind of your audience in an increasingly noisy world. That has to be shored up by reasons to believe, of which a key one is the team and the technology and the customers that we are and will be onboarding. And then it really comes into kind of, these two prongs of awareness and adoption. And within awareness, I think finding ways to bring it to life in new and interesting ways in social media, working with opinion leaders, being visible within media at events as speakers, putting ourselves out into the fray, and not being afraid to be a little provocative and say things that can help draw people to our story. I also think there's a really interesting play around category building. I know privacy has been talked about for a long time, but I don't think that it is anywhere close to established as a category outside of the little bubbles that we sit in. We could be part of helping to drive that. We could pull people together, join others, and together kind of drive the movement, and in doing so secure our place in it. I think it is an important movement that is set for a huge amount of growth and traction over the coming years. I don't think we've seen the beginning of it yet. I want us to be at the very crest of that wave as it forms. So that's another piece that we're thinking about. There are a number of marketing activities that I think are worth an experiment that we will look at. I've heard that conversion rates from certain types of email marketing can be very good. I've seen more people experimenting with paid boosting and paid spend. And there seem to be some kind of creative ways that people are doing that I think we should look at. And then it's adoption. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. So the partners that come to us, that build with us, it all becomes this positive flywheel. You have the right message, you have the right reasons to believe that message is true. You can express it in a way that cuts through to your audience. You're executing it consistently across channels in a way that is designed not to blend into the background too much. And then you're reinforcing it at every point with, that attracts customers. Then customers feed the narrative. The narrative attracts more customers, and that's what we're aiming to start spinning. That's the flywheel we want to start spinning. It's obviously easier said than done, but I'm confident that we're going to get there.
Perfect. Thanks, Ed. Yes, this was the main question I had so far. So I'm gonna leave the room to the next one. But thanks for the clarification.
Kelsey, it sounds like you have a background in this space. If you
No,
ever
not
want
at
to
all.
jam on this stuff,
No, I don't
come
have
in, stick
background,
around.
but reading a lot about it and really stoked what Partisia is up to. So we happy to have you on board and looking forward to implement everything that you discussed.
Well, feel free to tag me, hit me up in DMs if you ever want to understand what we're thinking or what we're doing, or you have ideas that you want to share with us.
Will do.
I'm
Thank you very
always
much, Ed.
happy to talk marketing.
Will do. Thank you very much, Ed. Thank you. Bye.
My pleasure. Bye. Who wants to go next? Danny?
Yeah, I think it's his turn now.
Hi everyone, can you hear me properly?
Hi.
Hey. Yeah, how you doing, Danny?
Oh, thanks. Finally managed to get up on stage. I was just going to say before we even start, it took quite a bit of hassle just to even get on stage, with the settings and stuff. I don't know
Yeah.
who's implemented your
I'm
Discord
sorry.
security. No, it's okay. I don't know who's implemented your Discord security, or what type of bots you've actually got, but I would recommend maybe even getting someone to come and have a look at your Discord. She's probably one of the best in the space and is good for the future.
Yeah.
Especially as you
If it helps.
Yeah, well, she's good.
If it
She's one of
helps.
the best in the space to fix someone's Discord and get all the security implementation, especially if you want to be adopting more people coming in and stop people
Yeah,
from getting
100%.
scammed as you build forward. And my biggest thing is, I'm more of a community person, so I'm speaking as an investor, I should say that. When I seen Partisia firstly, I looked at the website. I thought, like you mentioned, more PhDs than probably anybody in the space. The portfolio, on paper, it looks amazing, but it doesn't matter sometimes how good something looks on paper if you don't incorporate that into Web3, and Web3 is totally different. Because Web3 is just a degen market. It's got so many people are just interested in their own bags. They just want to make quick money, quick flips. But then there is genuine investors that don't mind investing and waiting for the long game and playing that. And I think Partisia has missed that. Like, if you look at the stage right now, there's only 20 people here. We should have a couple of hundred people. We should definitely have over a few hundred people here. Even the Twitter spaces, when you're doing Twitter spaces partnership, nobody's really listening to them. And the Web3 space has moved. Like last bull run was different. It was totally different because you had the lockdown and stuff, and there was totally different types of money coming in. Now there hasn't that much Web2 adoption coming in. We haven't had really new retail money coming in. And even if Partisia signs up many partnerships in the Web2 world, that doesn't relate to the token price. And a lot of people care about token price. So some people are invested in different stages and they're locked up for 4 years, and obviously they see their investment dropping, and these people then start to spread FUD and stuff. So one of the things I would like you to cover is, are people going to stay on the 4-year vesting, or is it better to just release the tokens, let the token get to whatever price it's going to get to, and then see who actually adopts it and who actually builds a real price? How are you going to actually build the community? Like, what is the aspect of here of getting people to actually come and start building on it? And how will you build the community? Because one of the things I wanted to do was run a node. Now, I don't ever have experience running a node, but even asking people in this community to help for me to participate, it would have been easy, but most people were reluctant to do that. So we need to incentivize people to help other members, because in the day, the more node operators, the better for the blockchain overall. And you look at the staking marketplace, it's just people posting messages constantly. Maybe we should try something different where it's spread out. So not everybody that's running a node gets it goes in an order. So everybody gets something, rather than certain node operators managing to control the whole most of the token supply. So it's more rewarding for everyone. Also, the UI really needs updated, and I think what you should be doing is, there are certain people in Web3. Some are marketing companies I wouldn't touch with a barge pole, but there is marketing companies and there is content creators that you should be really looking to approach and helping utilize what Partisia is doing. And I think Partisia, a lot of people don't understand it. Like, some devs will understand it. Me personally speaking, I'm not going to say I understand all the technology, because I don't. I don't at all. There's people probably much smarter than me that understand it, but I do understand communities. And I think if you can break it down and make it fun and interactive for people to learn what you're actually trying to do and solve it. You know, if you idiot proof anything, then it helps people understand what's being built, especially for Web 2 adoption. And that's what we really want. We want people to be here in this community to help build with it. And there's probably people in this community that have got a lot of talents, but incentivize them so they can get involved and they can think, we don't even have a VC in here where people can come and hang out. You know, incentivize it. Like, even if you popped in once a week and just hung out with your community and stuff. And, you know, you need to have a good community manager. And another thing, don't delete people's messages. If people get frustrated and stuff or angry, unless they're being abusive or something, there's no reason to delete people's messages. You need to be able to take criticism. And I see it all happen quite often. People's messages get deleted, and there's nothing more infuriating when somebody writes something out, someone decides to just delete a message because they don't like it. You know. So that's all I've really got to say. And like I said, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Hopefully you'll turn this company around. But they shouldn't be territorial here. You know, it should be more, everybody should be on the same board.
I completely agree. And thank you for sharing all of that. It's a lot. So I've been writing down points as you've been going through. If I miss anything, call me back. I totally agree on the importance of community, like you're preaching to the choir. And I don't think we've done enough for our community or with our community. I think everybody here would probably agree on that. I do hope that by the time, you know, these calls kind of go on for a bit, and we're planning to do community calls now every 2 weeks, we will make them easier to participate in, because actually I couldn't get into our voice call today, which was quite amusing. I thought at one point I was going to have to go into Telegram and tell people that I couldn't get onto the stage. So you're right. We do need to take a look at how we've organised our Discord, how we've organised our roles, our permissions. I will look into that for sure, because we want to make it easy for people to participate. I think the points you make around Telegram are really valid. I think it's very important to have a balance between, you know, obviously not having anything that is inappropriate, but also enabling people to voice their frustrations. There are a few different options we're looking at in terms of, you know, what the right path is there. I will keep you guys appraised, and you will have a voice, I hope, in helping us figure that out. Which I guess kind of comes through to this piece about how we make it more rewarding for everyone and make this community more dynamic, more living. How do we incentivize people to help others? How do we make it easier for people starting out? You know, I think that I guess the airdrop phase 1 that we ran was a beginning of a way to try to create lanes of involvement. I think we now need to stop and just see what went well, what didn't, and see how we evolve that campaign, and also how we bring more into it as well. Like, how do we layer into it? How do we make something that is more holistic, where, you know, maybe it's more, this is just me shooting off the hip, so please don't, I would say don't record this, but it is being recorded, so never mind. But, you know, how do we go? I think I've seen some communities that have started to move towards ongoing kind of recognition, rewards, loyalty programs, where there are actions that different people take that are very valuable to other members of the community, that are very valuable to the project, where there are both kind of, you know, very tangible incentives, but also, you know, status-based, access-based rewards that are not just necessarily tokens. You know, there's a variety of different things that I've seen where maybe we all kind of spike around specific activities, and there are bigger bursts of things, but that it's more sustainable, it's more ongoing. It's I don't know what that looks like. As I say, I'm shooting from the hip, but I do fully agree, and it is very much in my mind. I do agree that some of the UI is not where it needs to be. I didn't realize, actually, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize until today that we didn't have a standard voice chat. I'm sure that there have been reasons for that, but I don't think that should continue. I hope that shouldn't continue. There are other comments that you were making that I am not able to engage with, where our token is very clearly a utility token, and there is certain speculation that that I cannot enter into. I hope you understand that. I do very much value everybody that has contributed, all the contributors to the project. You are clearly a very important piece, and yeah, I do understand your point of view, but there are certain conversations that are just not appropriate for me to step into, I'm afraid. Anything that you think I should have answered with that caveat in mind that I haven't?
No, I understand why you can't answer it. Obviously, for legal reasons, I get it. I did shoot you a friend request. I'll send you some information over. And
Yeah,
maybe we can have a
perfect.
one-to-one call. But one of the things I think might be even a better idea is like, there's a lot of people in here, like, you know, you got ambassadors, you got Brian here, you know, a lot of people actually don't understand what everyone's role is. And like, you know, like maybe it's just better if like even the community can't come up and ask any questions, just have the whole team to come up and actually define what they're actually doing for Partisia, so people actually know what they are, what their roles are, and then, you know, categorize them, because certain people don't need to be in the Discord, or they can be, and then if somebody wants to ask them a question, they can, and then so everybody knows who's in the company, what they're actually doing. I know it says it on the website, but sometimes people just need to hear it. There's a lot of names there, you know, and I think that'd be good. I think it's just about building the community. You know, community can take a bit of time to build, and it's just a matter of, you know, incentivizing it. Like even some people, like I did mention this a while ago, like you can give people different roles. Like if they brought into the ICO, you know, there was like NFTs. Well, there was around I came in, there was an NFT given. You know, incentivize it so people have different roles rather than everybody just being an orange member. So then you get different kind of ranks and different loyalty programs and stuff. And eventually you can incentivize it, but just so people know that they're recognized and stuff. And I think that's very important to do.
Yeah.
Once you start to recognize people, then people start to be. And look, everybody knows here, the team can deliver. Like I'm not going to mention a project I worked with, but now they did well. ICO went great. They've been adopted by most of the L2s. Use their technology. Most of the DEXs use their technology, but it hasn't reflected on their token price because they've totally dropped the ball on the community. Totally dropped the ball, and it hasn't reflected at all. And that's something that, you know, you need to. It's very hard to do sometimes. So it's just about building that community with yourself. So like I said, there's going to be baby steps, but let's get there if we can, and, you know, use your community, and that's the best thing I would suggest.
I am looking forward to. Sorry.
I'll happily again step off the stage because I don't want to take up too much time, and I'll let somebody else come up. I think I've said what I've said, but I have shot you a friend request, and I can speak to you privately if you want.
We are now officially friends, Manny. So no taking back.
I was just going to say, Adrienne, if you have got permissions on the Discord, just be careful who you do accept and whose links you do click if you're not that wise with Discord security.
Don't worry.
Right. So okay, so just
I'm
be careful.
very careful.
Right. Okay.
I've been in Web3 too long not to be wary.
Right, okay.
I think just quickly on those points. So as I said, we're going to do these community calls every 2 weeks. And one of the ideas I had was actually bringing people in from the team so that they can, you know, we can do a marketing focus 1 week, we can do an adoption focus 1 week. You know, we can cycle through and give you a chance to kind of come in and ask questions, and then a chance to get to know you guys as well. So I think that is something that could be really nice if you guys are up for it. So that's important, and I totally take your point on the importance of community.
Just one last thing before I go off stage. I was just going to say, a lot of people don't even know who Ivan Dangard is. You know, they don't even know that. Like, the guy probably might even know who Satoshi is, to be honest with you. You know, he's been in it. I think one of the things that Partisia has got a talent like him. Like somehow that they actually use his talent to actually bring him more forward in the Web3 space. Like a lot of people might know him, but I don't really think a lot of people do know him at all. Like when you mention it, especially, a lot of people have no idea who he is. But you know, it'd be really, really good to forefront him forward, like get people to actually know who he is, like because he is involved with the project, and bring him more forward. And I think that could be like more of a centerpiece to showcase who Partisia is.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's an incredible individual. And I think in the right forums, in the right way, I'm sure that he would shine. And so I think that's a really interesting suggestion. I think specifically for me, it's around establishing his thought leadership, or getting his thought leadership status known more widely, getting his point of view out there, and having him in those, like I said, the really highest level conversations that are shaping how this space evolves. I think he is spectacular. Pitbull, you've been really quiet.
It happens.
Do you have any questions?
No, I mean, you stated earlier you're going to update us on all the stuff that's on the NodeOp list, and just for people that are not aware of that or are not NodeOps, this is something that a bunch of us put together a while ago, but it's not specific really to NodeOps. There's a lot of general stuff in there around staking and marketing and various other things. And as you said, you're going to come back on that, I think, in a week's time. So I'm not going to add any additional questions at the moment. I think some of the more important ones have been answered, like the airdrop, for example.
Cool. Well, I know this is just a beginning. I appreciate all of you that have come in today. We will make it available to everybody who hasn't been able to come in. So hopefully we might get a few more next time. And yeah, we will be as transparent as we can be with you. There is a lot that we are working on at the moment, and we will continue to ban the word soon. Because even I find myself kind of dying inside a little when I see it now.
It's my favorite word.
I know, we can't have it. No more. It's dead. Soon as dead. Long live specific timelines. But yeah, I know we've got a long way to go. I really appreciate everybody who's turned up today.
Yeah, and from my side, I really appreciate you coming up on stage and letting everyone express their thoughts and concerns and being so transparent.
I know no other way, for better or worse. Does anyone else have any questions or want to come up?
Hi, do you mind if I add a few words?
No, not at all.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello. For starters, I would like to welcome you to the team. I mean, watching your video really put a lot of positivity in the project for me. I've never been more positive about Partisia since, not never, but at least of late, I've not been more positive about Partisia since I saw your video. So I really appreciate that, coming out and introducing yourself. I'm just going to vent a very little bit, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
What I feel is that when you mentioned that our biggest strength is the number of PhDs we have, I also feel that has become a bit of a weakness for us, because it has led to an environment where at least the main team, I feel, does not want to take inputs or did not want to take inputs from the community. And what it led to was a very us against them atmosphere, especially in the community with Discord and with Telegram. Anybody who said anything would just get banned, including myself. Like, I remember before the launch, I just asked a very simple question, like, where is the marketing? And I got banned on Discord for that, on Telegram for that. And I mean, the whole environment became very us against them, and very like, we don't want to know what you have to say, very sort of a very negative environment. So when you come up and you say that, that at least when I saw your introductory video, that really changed things a lot, and I really hope to see that energy going ahead. That's just one thing. The next thing is, I think because of everybody being at such a high intellectual level, there's a certain level of gatekeeping that's happening in the node operation and in the, what do you call it, the development and adoption phase. So I'm involved in both sides. So I am a node operator and I'm also involved in developing an application. Unfortunately, I am not very technical. I'm not heavy into IT and stuff. So for me, it was a huge struggle to set up my node. And even recently, I was helping a friend set up a node. And what I noticed was if I go to the documentation and if I follow step by step everything that's given as it is with no other knowledge of, let's say, node operation, I will not be able to set up my node, you know? So, and when we ask questions to the team, the answers are very like, you should know. You know, if you don't know this, don't start a node. So I feel a little more inclusivity and a little more hand holding would go a long way in adoption with node operation, even with the development side of things. So because I'm not a developer, I hired a team to develop an application for Partisia, and they're working on something. But even when they sort of reach out to the team and ask questions, they do get replies and they are helpful. I will not say that. So it's not totally negative. But I feel at some level that they could be a little more helpful with having maybe set documentations or more standards or more sort of pre-built applications that people can use to sort of hit the ground running rather than just develop everything from scratch. I think these two things would go a really long way in development and adoption. Like we need to make it as easy as possible for someone to come on and not make it more difficult for them and say, hey, you know, you figure it out on your own. So the environment should be more hand-holding, more sort of a little more positive towards newcomers who are coming in, and make it as easy as possible for somebody to come on Partisia and develop something instead of having them quote unquote chew glass. That's it. And again, I'm so glad to have you on board. And it's like I said, it's a breath of fresh air. If you were here about 2 years ago, Partisia would be in a much different place. So I'm looking forward to what you bring to the team. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming up on stage, yeah, thank you for your kind words and also for your questions. Just to correct one thing, I didn't say that the PhDs were our greatest strength. I don't think I said that they were they are an incredible strength because I think the technology that they have built is head and shoulders above anything else that's out there, and that is an amazing foundation to go from. I think they are one of our greatest credibility markers. I think they are a really strong, I think the team and the caliber of the team is a really strong reason to believe because we are solving a really hard problem. And I think it just demonstrates that we have, maybe I did say they were our greatest strength. I do think they're awesome. I have one of them on the call, so I have to say that, right? You know, I do agree that actually sometimes the smartest people are not always the best people at explaining to the rest of the world because they kind of forget what people like us know and don't know. And I think maybe, you know, I do feel that kind of divide when I come into the channels, and I was in the channels for a while before I joined, and I was kind of lurking and reading. I do think that, you know, we as a foundation, this is kind of where we come in. You know, Partisia have built a beautiful protocol. We need to help drive awareness and adoption. So we need to bridge that. We need to make it more comprehensible, to help people understand why it's cool, you know, why this matters, why this is exciting, what it can do, what we have ahead of us as a group, you know, what we're all doing here, why you're all giving up an hour of your day, and hopefully more in future. So I think that is on us. You know, we need to bridge that. We need to solve that, and that is what we're setting out to do. So I hope you do see a big difference in that over the coming weeks. The point that you made around gatekeeping in node operations and app development, and that kind of question of chewing glass, I think is a very colourful phrase. For some reason, it twists my stomach just saying it. It's very visceral. Yeah, I mean, we need. I don't know. I don't know that we will ever be easy to build on or interact with. I don't know kind of how far down that spectrum we can come. but we definitely need to make ourselves as easy to use and integrate with as we can, because we want to drive adoption. So, one of the things that we will be looking to do over coming weeks is looking at any of the community programs we have to incentivize you guys to help us, because you are actually probably far closer to the answers. And then we're also looking at maybe bringing on a DevRel who can really focus on documentation, tutorials, user experience, but also one that is truly Web3 native and can bring us closer to other ecosystems and help us build our relationships, build our platforms, not just in these small rooms, but also in other rooms where perhaps right now there might be more people. So those are, I guess, the two answers to the two questions. Does that answer it?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for your reply.
My pleasure. Thank you for coming up. Thank you for joining us. Now there are some more things in chat. Yes, Manny, sorry. I didn't mean to demean our PhDs. I love them dearly. They have built something incredible. We would not be here without them. I do think that, I guess one of the quotes that has always stuck with me is, most failed startups have a product. What they don't have is customers. So I think it's that importance of having the focus on both sides. Like, you can build something brilliant, but you need people to know about it, and you need to get people using it. And I think that's where the foundation needs to focus. That's the bit we need to bridge. This will not be the last time we do this. This will hopefully be the last time we do this with a stage and an audience, because that's not generally my style, as you guys will hopefully get to know over the coming months. But we will be doing this every second week. I'm intending to keep it to this time, but I will put the question in Discord and in Telegram, because I'm aware that some of our node operators, for example, are maybe Australia based. This might not be ideal for people that are APAC based. So we can also maybe alternate and do different timings, but that will be better decided async, I suspect, than in here. Especially since anybody for whom this time is not ideal probably isn't here. So we should probably post that question where they can raise their voices too. Otherwise, any other questions, any other thoughts, feelings, points of view, musings, memes?
Yeah, I wish we had more memes, personally. Although I get that I can put myself in the shoes of our community members, and I can tell it's not your normal DGen Web3 community. First of all, because we're not really allowed to share our favorite memes, which sometimes can be a bit dark, but that's kind of part of the culture, right? I wish it was more like that. And now that you're the Lord of Partisia Blockchain, are we gonna do that?
I prefer Empress, actually, if that's okay, Maria.
Empress, oh, that's even better.
I know, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if we're just making titles up, we should aim big. I mean, I think there's a lot that's on the table. I think we need to listen to the community and what they want. And if we're not set up maybe to manage that forum, then maybe it's time to hand it over to the community. I don't know. All conversations are open.
All right. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions from Telegram, because I'm also there checking if anyone wants to come on stage or here. So what do you think? Also, by the way, this is recorded and we're gonna upload it somewhere, ideally YouTube.
Great. I think the only request that we had from people in the Telegram is when we upload it, does YouTube automatically do a transcription? Because I think there are some non-native speakers. So it'd be great to get.
I have an
the
app for that as
transcription.
well. If it doesn't, I'll make sure to add English subtitles.
Perfect. Perfect. Other than that, just to say thank you to everybody who's come in. It's great to see you, and I hope I get to know you over the coming months. Chat soon. Take care.
Bye,
Thanks, Ads.
everyone.
Thanks, team. Take care.